Hi. My name is Theodore Cottingham, and I'm teaching on leadership, to teach leadership, to be leadership, to no more be led by the things of this world, the ways of this world, the religions of this world, the definitions, preaching, and protocols of this world. You see, there's another story. There's another way to live. And I suggest to you that this is now about the great opportunity to be who we really are, no longer controlled by thought. Think of thought as an entity. Thought. Thought commandeered your mind. Thought commandeered humanity, the human mind. Thought is not something that you're subject to, because you are the creator of you. And you don't have to think thought. You don't have to be limited by thought. Confidence, protocols of religion or culture. You can change everything, my friend. And I invite you to. Oh, hey, kitty. Wow, look at that kitty. Look at that kitty. I don't know if you can see that kitty in my camera, but so I'm a plain simple guy. Can you see her? Oh. I'm in Eureka Springs with a heart for love. And I have found love communicates. I have found that love is not religious. Love is not Christ-like. If you define Christ the religious way, the Christian way, but Christ, Christians want to usurp that term, but Jesus was not religious. Jesus certainly wasn't a Christian. He wasn't some white guy with a beard and long hair like is portrayed by millions. Jesus was a rebel. Jesus was a revolutionary because Jesus brought revolution. The religious hated him. As soon as he began to speak out, supposedly at age 30, about who he was, it enraged the religious. So they took him to the edge of the city, to a cliff, to throw him over, kill him, and be done with him. You see, that's what religious essentially want to do now to you and me, if we speak about who we are and that we are not subject to thought realm, the realm of thought, the realm of their preaching, teaching, and limitations, teaching us who to be, where, what, when. You see, there's just more to the story. And the story is unlimited. Absolutely unlimited. See, the story of Jesus is that you are not limited to your finite world, or the world that has been given us, or that we seem to operate in. Howdy. Or is it the world that we are limited by? What world is this that we find ourselves in? And why do we look to things unseen to define what we think we see? Why do we look to the intangible to try to be tangible? What if we are something else? But see, this morning as I was thinking about as I was just pondering, just sitting kind of surrenderedly, letting my thoughts wander, letting my mind wander, letting my mind connect with what, my Wi-Fi, my telephone, my cell service, or connect with something else. What? You see, anyone that can control your information to your thought processing unit, in effect, controls you. You think your world is not what you designed or what you create. You create within you images of the words that are given you by the people who control information to you. But what if information to you is actually unlimited? What if it's no longer controlled by the FTC or a government regulator or any entity? What if it's not controllable by flesh? What if there's a way to connect with light? An ambiguous term in so many ways. But I can use it to denote an energy. But I'm talking about an energy that is not dependent on spin, molecules, atoms, superposition, organelles, quarks, neurons, dendrites, axon hillocks. What are you willing to see? I'm in front of the Unitarian church here in Eureka Springs. I guess that sign reads backwards. Be not afraid of growing slowly, be afraid only of standing still. Chinese proverb. See, also this morning, so thinking with my mind, I thought, did I think? Wait a minute, what was the source of my thought? Was the source of my thought my cognitive powers? The memory stored in my neurons or some akashic field? Or is this a force field? Is this a magnetically controlled, a magnetically induced reality? What are we forming it with, and what are we creating, and what are we willing to create? And what are we willing to transmit, transceive, or receive and create with? New words, new definitions. Are you willing to see a new source for you to live by or think by? Or if you begin thinking with words that create images of another lifestyle, might you create it? Or what role do images play in your mind? Do you need an image? Do you need a model, a pattern? Well, it helps, right? If I ask you to create something and I speak a word that you have no idea what means, you may not know how to create it, right? But if you have a picture, you have a story, you have a description, you have a language, you have words, language. And language creates images. Or do images create language? Or what is actually happening in our brain, our mind? I'm talking about creation. I'm talking about the ability to create a new world, a new mind, a new love. I'm asking you to communicate with love. But my friend, I qualify it as unconditional love. Not the love that so many people equate with God from their Bible saying, oh, God is love. No. And I've taught that increasingly. God is not love. Just like there are many things that are highly inaccurate in a book so many want to say and think is inerrant and surrender their ability to create, giving their mind over to poverty, penury, submission, subjugation, to follow a policy, a procedure, a religion. I'm asking you, I'm inviting you to be a part of a school that de-religionizes Jesus and de-religionizes the earth so that we're no more contorted, trying to conform what we really are to that which we really aren't. I'm not flesh, are you? I existed before this flesh, and I'll exist after this flesh. So did you. I don't plan to surrender to death, have my memory wiped, and be sent back. I plan to come out. Come out of what? The thinking world, the thought world, the world that's controlled by electromagnetism. This teaching does not stand alone. I teach almost every day and have for years. There's more than 1,000 teachings that I've shared with you that you can find on YouTube to learn from if you choose to, and I invite you to. But as I stand here now, my motivation for standing here, live streaming here in Eureka Springs this moment, is to share with you your power. And your power is not limited to what you think. Your power is not limited to what you think with, nor the coding, the language that is coded your enigma machine, your brain. There's so much more to the story. And this is a school based upon the words that I have channeled for many years, that I have come into the knowledge of. And bearing a child, I birthed me. As a man, because I am not limited to the manship of man. I'm not limited to this physique. My womb is active and not adorned by you who want a stillbirth to occur so that you can control my power. My power is intangible. How about yours? But what if the intangible does bring forth the tangible? What if true love, love that is truly unconditional, what if it's a power converter, a transducer, a transformer, a changer? So that my word that goes out like this has one effect, and in the twinkling of an eye, it has another effect, where it actually creates something interdimensional, dimensionlessly. It creates healing. You see, I'm speaking surrenderedly. It's not like I'm reading a sermon that I bought online. There's an energy that I am not possessed by, nor that rules me. Yet there is a surrender to an energy, a spirit. What do you want to call it? Light, unconditional love. Something from another land, another planet. You see, if you begin to channel words from the land, from the heart of unconditional love, no one else can defeat it. No one can control the information that comes straight into your heart from a source no longer limited by waves, frequency, amplitude, wattage, amperage. And no one can defeat love, and love has arisen. And love will arise. Now all over this earth and farther. By people, in people, just like you and me. Through people, just like us. Who are willing to communicate, be in communion, creating communities, creating classes, creating schools, letting love flow radiantly, radiating out from our mind, our spirit, our being, our flesh. Because we are not limited to this flesh, we're not limited to this world, and this is the story of Jesus, the pattern. And Jesus, I paint you a story of a non-religious man. In Jesus the Pattern, a book I wrote that I offer on my website. TheodoreCottingham.com. Building inspector. Howdy.
How you doing?
You see, so much is changing so rapidly. Just like I stand here in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and over there through a few of the tree branches. I doubt you can make it out. It's so far away through the camera. Big statue. I don't know how tall. Concrete, 90 feet or something. Of Jesus. So I'm rambling, am I? Rambling about thought. Rambling about thought that commandeers your mind, that requires you to create images to understand, or create words with images, or images with words, or some kind of communication system that gives you visual enemies. Enemies? Gives you a visual of this world. This is just a partial world we're in. Don't you understand? You see, this is just a partial world. This is like looking at 3 dimensions of an infinite world. A world that's actually not restricted by dimensions. And see, your mind is actually not restricted by words that you hear or see, unless you restrict yourself to them. Because there's a language of light. I call it light. I need a better name. There's a language that is not limited to frequency, vibration, harmonic distortion, interference. So I stand here as a man who's learned to channel from another world. And I would that you value what I've channeled. I call it the Meonics Covenant, the me. Because in the channeling, you see, as I began to channel, I began to write the first person words of God. I called it God at the time. I didn't know what else to call it. I was seeking God, loving God, praying, spending my mornings in prayer. And I simply had a thought. Just like today, tomorrow, at any given moment, you have a thought. But I picked up my pen and I wrote it down. And as I wrote it, another phrase was in my mind and I wrote it. And there was another sentence in my mind and I wrote it. But the difference is I was writing surrenderedly. I wasn't trying to write. I wasn't trying to channel. If anything, at the time I thought channel, oh, that's a new age term, got to stay away from that. Beware of false teachers and all this stuff. But love continued to speak. And I wrote. And I learned to write. And I learned what love is. Not only is there no fear in unconditional love, there's no threat of condemnation. Perfect love didn't create hell. It's not always watching to see if you're naughty or nice. You see, the mind that you have that has so constrained us thinks with what we call thought. Thought, well, it's just a word. It's a name we apply to something. What? Apply to an energy? An energy. You see, we live in such a limited existence at this moment, thinking we're human, limited by our mind, the creative power of the Creator. Do you subscribe to Scientific American? Article in there a few days ago about how slow the brain works. And the brain apparently operates at, I forget, 10 something, 10 megabits or something like that. And yet computers process now billions of times faster. Millions, billions. And our eyes are actually able to take in enormous, almost unimaginable amounts of information at one time. But the brain still limits it and then fills in part of it as it thinks it should. It's a great article. Highly recommend it. So what am I doing here? I'm just being me. I'm no longer trying to be a professorial. I'm not your God. I'm not your Messiah. If anything, I'm a simple, humble guy that leads in a way that we have not been led, to teach a communication system that cannot be limited on earth by any earthling or any power of earth. And as you come into experience that power of unconditional love that actually bows before you every day, waiting on you to see, waiting on you to hear, waiting on you to understand, waiting on you to get your ego out of the way and no longer be analog and turn to digital? Or will you give up classical physics and be a quantum? Or are you no longer trying to define everything in the terms that we've had before? Are you willing to create? Are you willing to create by a system of education, a source communication that exists outside the realm of time, space, and gravity? Are you willing to go to the Big Bang? Are you willing to have one? Are you willing to see that it didn't occur? Or are you willing to, in fact, no more confuse energy with what's of this world and what's unlimited infinite? You, my friend, you are the unlimited infinite. But religion wants to hold you in its pew. And the way it does so is that it spreads its tentacles like vice grips to clamp you under their influence. But you can release you from the vice grip of religion, the vice grip of your circumstances, the squalor of the kingdom of this earth. You see, we are no longer limited to the almighty dollar or any currency on earth. Whether you like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or you see, the power of all the pauper makers is going bye-bye. And common, humble people are arising with no agenda, not trying to be professional, not trying to be influencers, not trying to be successful in an economy that requires you to get something from someone else to have what you want. Don't you see? Why do you insist on wanting to get dollars out of her pocket so you have a mocha? Am I talking to me? Ah, here comes the trolley. Well, enough for one day. So why do I charge tuition now? And do I, or do you volunteer? Hi, April. So, my friend, I didn't just get off the bus. So it was over 30 years ago that I began to quest to know God, to know Jesus and the power of the resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. And I've mentioned details of my path many times and won't go over them at this moment, but to tell you there's more to the story. And I began to channel, like I mentioned, 21 years ago. Maybe it's time to follow the white rabbit. Take the red pill. Where will it land you? Begin to listen to words from another planet, another solar system, another dimension. Does that scare you? Are they angels? Or do you need to define them as such to listen to them? And if you begin to listen to them, who are they? A collective? A collective of what? How will you know good from evil? How will you know control from perfect love? This is why I have a school. This is why I teach, and I address these things sometime in teachings that are more coherent than others, more cognitively put together than others. I don't have all the answers, friend. I just know. I know. How do I know? Because I've experienced it. How do I know I've experienced it? I walk it out day by day. You see, all of us choose how to answer all of these questions. And there's so much more to the story. And you are so much more powerful than anyone has ever told you. You You, my friend, can feed the 5,000. And if you can feed the 5,000 with 2 fish and a few loaves of bread, I don't think you'll go hungry. I think you can turn the water into wine. I think you can hang planets in space. And you can learn. You can laugh. You can make fun. You can deride. You can scorn. But if you scorn me, you're scorning the one in your mirror. Because we aren't separate like we have been taught, or that we think. Because thought has commandeered us. But we're no longer limited to the confusion of this world. Wow. Hi, folks.
Hi there.
Howdy. Hi. So I hope this means something to you. My mom, so often, when I was little, she would say, Theodore, be a gleaner. And as you go about your day, be a gleaner. And I think about that still often. You see, these words that I speak like this are not put together in a linear, classical physics format that a lot of people would like to learn by. You come into these lessons, you enter these lessons, and if you come as a little child, if you come humbly, you will hear more than the words that I speak. You will begin to feel with an understanding, not subject to the programming of religion or what your neurons hold as desirable. You see, all of this is a force field made up of neurons, electromagnetic forces, electro-weak, electro-strong, gravity, the strong force. But there's so much more to the story. And you, my friend, I desire to heal the nations. I guess that's why I do this. It's not for me. It's not to draw all people unto me. It's you feeding the 5,000, you walking across the water. My friend, it's you no longer being subject to the dollar bill. No one coveting, no longer coveting the rich man's table. No longer feeling like you've been passed over, like you're unintelligent, you're unworthy, you're insufficient. My friend, you are not insufficient and you are not unworthy. You, my friend, are the source of the real world, the world that is not limited to what we see, feel, think, and hear. And you have the ability to come into the creation central, the center of creation, the center of you. And I invite you to. Okay. I'm going to go check the mail in the post office. Hey, Frank, and get me a mocha. Theodore Cottingham in Eureka Springs. On the sidewalk, on the spot. Goofing off, playing, sharing with friends. And I ask you to also see a new day, a new way, a new life for you. that you're no longer limited to the visible empirical world. This is the story. This is the Jesus that I know. This is the Jesus that I learned about. The one that said, "Come unto me," or the one that said, "Be me." You see, I met the one that said, "Theodore, be who I am. Don't worship me. Be me." Theodore, Ted, if you love me, do the things that I did and more. That's the Jesus I met. So the Jesus, the religion says, that Jesus said, love the Lord God with all of your heart, mind, body, spirit, and soul and being. That's not the Jesus I met. Lord God, the unconditional love that taught me said, have no God before you. No God. No longer create an image of God being separate. No longer be enslaved by your mind, nor its ignorance. When you, my friend, are the light of the world, the energy of the world, the energy of true reality, a reality that's not limited to 3 dimensions. Okay, I'm going. I love you. Share these words. Be a leader. Lead you. Begin to do something you've never done. Make sense of this lesson. Most of these lessons are like a mosaic. Mosaic is the way I think of them. Like a puzzle. Like a puzzle. A big puzzle. And while you're listening, you begin to assemble it. Just like you dump all the pieces of the puzzle out on a table. Except this is a puzzle. This is a mosaic that's not limited to the tangible shapes of your vocabulary, nor the energy thereof. Okay, I love you. I go now. Be not unaware of the people in Mozambique, Malawi. Do you know what's happening there? I think of it so often. I'm asking you to care for your brother and your sister who look nothing like you. The people in Gaza, do you hear me? The people in Gaza. Beirut, Lebanon, Chad, Congo. And not be led by your little world any longer, nor the religion that is so affirmed by so many people, no matter what label you call it. I'm asking you to enter love by the front door, not the back. I'm asking you to live love and love each other. Tell the people around you, your family, your co-workers, the crew in the coffee shop, tell them you love them. Tell them all. And be love in your shoes. See you later, love. I love you all. TheodoreCottingham.com. Write me, lead, summarize, link, map. And if you look up any one thing today in the Meonics Covenant, look up Lessonize, Lessonize, and understand the energy that doesn't limit you to your present vocabulary. And another form of the same word, lessonating, Lessonating. And you'll see that even in the words I channel, words came forth to teach me how to learn from these words and why a school is called for and how the school works. You can learn all that in the Meonics Covenant. And you can link to it on my website, TheodoreCottingham.com. This is a school for you to rise, to do all the things that Jesus did. No longer being a Christian, no longer limited to Christianity, its ethics or its ethos, or how it has been promulgated. But let love flow to every person. You, uniquely you, in the flow of one, the infinite you. I hug you this day and speak healing to you, healing to your mind, healing to your hurt, healing to your wounds, healing to your physical body. And what you're willing to do, what you're willing to know, what you're willing to become. Become the leader in your shoes and do all the things that Jesus did and more. And that's why I do this. I love you. Okay. See you later. Good day. Right?